just use the new version? Why? But I know, but use the new version, Terraform. Why won't you do it? Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Ned Bellavance, Ned1313 on Twitter. Welcome to Terraform Tuesday. I hope you're having a good Tuesday out there. Today, we're going to talk about something that kind of bit me a little bit recently, and that's when I upgraded to Terraform 14. Suddenly, things weren't working as I expected, and I got a little frustrated. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about this new way that Terraform is handling versioning when it comes to the providers you're consuming in your configuration. Now, the way that I'm going to demonstrate that is with an example, because that's much more fun than me just talking. So let's share out the old screen and check out what's going on in Visual Studio Code. All right, everybody, here's Visual Studio Code. And if you're looking for these files, if you want to follow along, you want to try this later, these files are always available on my GitHub account. You just got to go to Ned1313 Terraform-Tuesday. I'll include a link down in the show notes, so no worries about that. But if you do want to follow along, it's always available there. This one is in the folder of today, 2021-0105. And I've got a very simple configuration here because I'm just trying to demonstrate what's happening with providers. So first, let's just see what version of Terraform I'm currently running. All right, so I am running Terraform, let's see, version 0.14.3. So this is version 0.14. If you haven't made the move to 0.14 yet, you will not see this behavior, but it's probably good to know about it. Okay, now the configuration that I have set up here has two different providers. I'm going to leave one commented out for now. And we're just going to include this one Terraform provider, Azure RM, and you can see I've got the version pinned to 2.40. Now, right now, the most current version, I believe, is 2.41. So this is going to get us an older version of the Azure RM provider. Okay. And then if we scroll down a little bit more down into the provider area, I'm just invoking the providers. I'm not configuring them at all. And then scrolling down a little bit more, I am making use of a module because I was curious how this new lock file works with modules. All right, so just like any other Terraform configuration, the first thing we got to do is run Terraform init. So I'm going to go ahead and run Terraform init here, and let's see what gets created over in our directory. All right, so it's downloading the Azure RM provider and the Azure network module, and it's going to put those in that .terraform folder. So if you expand that, you see we've got modules and providers. The module will have all of the code that makes up the network module for Azure RM, and then the providers directory is going to have the plugins for each provider that's in use. We can expand that and see there's two providers listed here, and that's probably because I mentioned both providers. So it looks like it downloaded 1.1.1 of Azure AD because it is in the providers area, and it downloaded 2.4.0 2.40.0 of the Azure RM provider. And that's what we told it. In our version, we said we want 2.4.0, 2.40, and that is what it downloaded for us. And so that is what is in these two folders, is the actual plugin that will work with my Windows system. Okay, there's also this new file. So that .terraform directory, that's not new. That's been around for a good long time. But we also got this new .terraform.lock.hcl file. So HCL lets you know that this is in HashiCorp configuration language. That's the language format of this file. Now, what's in this file? Now, it says at the top that this file is maintained by Terraform init. And that's kind of true. It's not 100% true, but it's true enough. And in here, it is showing us a few things. It's got the first provider being used and what version of the provider is being used. And then it has hashes for the provider. This is the hash for every different version of that provider for different operating systems. So if you were going to take this file, this lock file, and put it on a Mac, and you wanted to make sure it's going to use the same version of the plugin, it can match the hash of the plugin that gets downloaded with the hash that's in this file and make sure that they match up. If we scroll down, we can also see we've got the Azure RM provider, and it's at version 2.40.0. Okay, Now, what happens if I decide, you know what, I'm ready to just whatever the newest version 2.0 of the Azure RM provider is, I want to use that. And this is kind of what happened to me because I was actually moving from Azure RM 1.0 to 2.0, which is a pretty big jump. And when I tried to do the upgrade, nothing happened. So let's just demonstrate what happens here. We're going to change the language a little bit here, and we're going to say this little squiggly with the greater than that I threw in there. That means I want you to download whatever provider version is 2.x. So whatever the newest version is in version 2, download that. If version 3 comes out, I don't want that yet. So pin it to that. All right, so let's go ahead and save that file, and we're going to run Terraform in it again. And let's see what happens. All right, initializes the back end, and it says reusing, well, let it finish so it doesn't scroll past this again. There we go. Okay, I'm going to scroll back up. And you can see right here, it says reusing previous version of the HashiCorp Azure RM and Azure AD from the dependency lock file. And then it says I'm installing the version 2.4.40 and version 1.1.1 of the two providers, and I'm successfully initialized. So if you did this and you ran Terraform in it in version 13 and earlier, it would have upgraded the provider for you to whatever the newest version is. But in Terraform 14 and going forward, if you want it to update that version, you actually have to add a little flag here that says upgrade. When you add that, it is going to check to see if there is a newer version based off of any parameters you put in here. And we can see it sees that there is let me scroll up a little bit here. It sees there is now a version. Well, first it says find any versions of this provider matching the parameters I gave it and finding the latest version. Now, because I didn't give a parameter on Azure AD, it already found the latest. But because I have constrained the version for Azure RM, it's saying, oh, I found this newer version, and because you told me to update, I'm going to download and install that, and I'm going to update that lock file. So if we go back and look at this lock file and scroll down, we can see it's at version 2.41.0, and it's updated the constraint here to say version 2.0. Now, does that mean that it will automatically upgrade when version 2.41.1 comes out? I'm not entirely certain. I don't believe it will. I think what it's going to do is you have to use that dash upgrade to get it to move to a newer version. Okay, so what if I do want to impose a version for my Azure AD? Let's say that version 1 is not working with me. I need to go back to a previous version. I want to go back to version 0.11 for that provider. So let's do that and save it. And we'll run Terraform in it again without the upgrade flag. I've now added a constraint that wasn't there before in my configuration. What is it going to do? Well, you probably won't be surprised, and you may have already figured this out. It's going to say I'm reusing that version, but it actually runs into an error, and it's going to say, I could not retrieve the list of available versions for the provider HashiCorp Azure AD because the locked provider 1.1.1 does not match your version constraint. So if we look in the lock file and scroll back up, it has not added the constraint. It has not changed the version. Guess what I got to do? That's right. I got to run Terraform init-upgrade again. And once I do that, it's going to see there's a new constraint. It's going to find the proper version and install that proper version and also update that lock file. So you saw that just change from 1.1.1 to this new 0.11.0. So this is the new lock file that's been introduced in Terraform 14. And so I wanted to bring it to your attention and kind of explain what it's doing. The intention here is once you've tested this, you can check this file in along with all of your other code into source control, and then that ensures that anybody else who is using your code, who's testing things out in your organization, is going to end up using the exact same providers you do, so they have a consistent experience. And then when you want to update it, it can go through a code review process, just like everything else in your Terraform configuration. So that makes sense. I understand why they're doing it. It caused me a little bit of strife to begin with, but now I get it and I see what's going on. Now, next time, I do want to talk a little bit more about remember when I said that Terraform Init does govern this lock file, but at the same time, it doesn't. There is another set of commands, Terraform Provider, that lets you alter this lock file as well. And I think I want to dive into Terraform providers in general and versioning and where you can store those plugins in the next Terraform Tuesday video. So I think that's going to be the next Terraform Tuesday video, but that does it for me. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you would like to, subscribe, hit the bell if you want to hear about new videos in the Terraform Tuesday. I do this every Tuesday. I've been Ned Bellavance, Ned1313 on Twitter. Thank you again for watching and have a fantastic day. Just a wonderful day. Go get some tacos. Yeah, buddy, we did it. Oh, boom. That's right. We upgraded our version of Provider. Well done. Don't forget to share and subscribe.